in 1970, there were 5 working people supporting one pensioner. Yeah, the interest there is just very, very low. And very important information for experts. When you move to another country, you get a 4,200 euros tax refund from the government.
Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have a very special guest with me, and his name is David from Expats. Hi David, welcome to the channel.
Thank you, Ashram, for having me. How are you doing?
I am doing great. So please introduce yourself for the people who are watching. Let us know what you do, what does your company do, and what are we going to talk about today?
Perfect. Yeah, so Ashran and I know each other from YouTube channels. And so my name is David. I'm a retirement planning specialist at Expats, as you said. And we serve our clients as independent financial brokers. That means we can offer every pension insurance that there is in Germany, right, on the free market, with the exact same conditions as with the insurance itself. So our clients have no financial disadvantage in working with us, but the huge advantage that we scan the entire market and see where do we get the best solution for our clients, essentially, right? And we have them with their private pension plans, saving taxes with that, and being well off when they retire, essentially, and all that in English speaking, of course. For
a lot of information is just available in German language, so it's quite difficult to understand.
Yeah, that's what we also discovered when we started. We had so many experts coming and said, okay, there's only really all this information is in German, and even if you know a little German, the financial language in English is much more complicated. That's also, by the way, why it's so important what you're doing, explaining how investing works. Explaining all these things in English to experts. Today, we are going to be talking about how the German pension system works for you as an expert, and then also how the tax system works, how you can use that to your advantage, and how basically you can take care of your pension here in Germany as an expert.
Great. So let's just begin. Whenever I get my payslip, or like most people watching this video, they get the payslip, they see a huge number being cut, and that is the rent and physician or the pension insurance. So what exactly is it? Does it actually help, especially considering it's a big amount, and for an expat coming from another country, it doesn't make sense. So explain to us, how exactly does the pension system in Germany work?
Yeah, so it's actually a huge amount, because what you see is just your part, right? Yeah. And your employer pays the exact same part. So in total, it's 18.6% of your salary until 85K. There it's capped, right? But that's a huge amount that you pay in the system. You are totally right? And you can imagine the German government pension works very counterintuitively. You ask the right question. Does it even get you further in the pension? After 5 years of working here in Germany, you get a letter where it says, you have by now worked for this and this much pension, and if you keep on working with your salary, you will have that and that pension, right? And if you get the letter for the first time, please sit down in a stable chair, maybe have your wife holding your hand, because most people are really shocked what stands in these letters. I mean, when you we can do the calculation in a second, but when you have a 60K annual salary, right, and you work in Germany for 40 years, which is not for an expert, you will probably work a little bit shorter.
Yes, I would say, let's assume if someone is coming for a master's degree, they're coming at the age of 25. Yeah. They'll do it in plus minus 2 years. So 27, at the age of 27, they start.
And then it's pretty much 40 years, right? So with 40 years, you can pause the video now and write in the comments your guess what your government pension will be, right? So 60K annual salary, so 5,000 a month is a good salary, starting salary for IT or consulting when you're in these sectors. So write in the comments what you guess is the government pension.
So
it's around 1,700 euros gross, and there goes taxes and health insurance basically. So it's 1,400 euros in your pocket basically, right? So that's why I said, okay, please sit in a stable chair when you first get this letter. And I mean, the reason for that, because you have told correctly, okay, you contribute a lot with your employer to this pension system. The reason for that is that it works very counterintuitively, right? So normally you would think with a pension plan, the money that you invest is saved up for you and then later paid out as a pension with maybe some kind of interest, right? That's not the case. That's how private pension plans work. We will talk about that in a second. But there's not the case with the German government pension, because basically the money that you pay in is directly contributed to the current pensioners, right? So it's not like a pension plan for you. It's more like a social system you have to imagine. And the first question that might pop in your head, okay, David, all well and good, but what happens when there aren't enough people paying in to support the current pensioners? Right? And that's exactly what's happening right now. Because like in 1970, there were 5 working people supporting one pensioner, and then it's fine, totally a fine system. But now it's only Ashan, it's only the 2 of us.
Okay.
Right?
There's 2 people supporting.
2 people supporting one pensioner. So that means that already the system now isn't quite working anymore, and the German government has to put in a lot of taxpayer money on top to just keep the key system running, even though it's not good in the first place. So, these are some thoughts to consider about the job.
So as you said, the pension can be given once you're retired. So right now the retirement age in Germany is 67. Previously it was 65. Some people say, or like there are always rumors in different forums, different expat communities, that this age will increase. What is the likelihood and of this age increasing? And if it is increased, let's say it doesn't increase, but let's say in the worst case scenario it does increase, how much time does the government give for this increase or age increase generally? Historically speaking.
Yeah, you are totally right about this assumption, because one of 3 things must happen in order to keep the system alive, right? Either the pension age increases, right? That's what you were talking about, or the pension decreases, which will never happen because our politicians are elected by mainly old people, right? So they will never decrease the pension. It's the last thing that they're going to do. Or they increase the contribution to the system, which happens every year, that they increase like the contribution to the system, especially for good earners, right? So one of these things is going to happen. Probably our generation, it won't be 67 anymore, right? And that's what age you don't know, right? Maybe 70, maybe no more, depending on the system. But all of this has a silver lining. You have to take care of your pension yourself, right? Please don't rely on the government for your pension. And I know we have a very good social system in Germany, but the pension system, please take care of that yourself and say, okay, if I get some government pension, I see it as a bonus. But the main thing you should have, like either from investing and from private pension plans, to take care of your retirement yourself.
Before we move to private pension plans or other options that are outside the government jurisdiction, can you share a little bit about, let's say, if there's an expat who came to Germany, contributed their like 40 years, then retired, and then went back to another country, for example, their home country, after retiring in Germany. So are they eligible to get this amount back home, or is it just if you stay in Germany?
Yeah, that depends. So there's like a huge difference in what countries you're going to, right? So please, for your individual case, inform yourself like on the German government website. What I can share with you is, maybe that's interesting for your viewers, how you can calculate how much pension you are going to get for your individual scenario, right?
Yeah. Yes. So we Google German pension plan and then come to your website.
You just Google German pension calculator, and there you will also find our website. And there you can just type in, okay, how much you're making currently. So let's say in the 5,000 from our example, how many years have you been working? So we take your master's student example, right? Where you see, okay, came to Germany when you're 25, do your master's, and then you start working. So this is exactly the scenario that we discussed. And then you see, okay, what pension will you get from the government? You see here like the 1,700 approximately, right? and what is then your pension gap, so to say. So what do you need to take care of privately to fill that gap? Right? So you can just calculate that for your individual income. So you can just type anything in, and this will accordingly change. Right? So it's a very interactive tool. Put a lot of work in programming that. So you can use that. We will also put it like in a link in the description to just calculate, okay, how much am I going to get from the government pension? How much do I need to take care of yourself? And then in the next step, how much do you need to set aside to fill the pension gap? We will get to that in a second. Yeah.
Cool. So now we know that we will get peanuts for our pension. And let's move to the other options, as you said. So there's the government pension. So what other options are available for pension or retirement planning?
So there are, of course, many pension plans in Germany that are available for experts, right? Some of them don't make any sense, right? And some of them make a lot of sense when you have a high income. So maybe just to quickly say the two of them that mainly don't make any sense is first the Riester pension. That's like the most popular pension in Germany. It was, at least, because like 4 years ago I had always had to talk about half an hour why this doesn't make sense, and now it's all over the news that basically this simply not a good product, right? The idea is that you get like government bonuses for saving for retirement, right? And when you have kids, then you get like extra bonuses, which is all well and good. But the problem is that you have like a mandatory guarantee in these products. That means that like the majority of the money you invest there doesn't go like towards funds, like you explain like in your videos, where you can broadly diversify and just invest and grow with the world economy, basically. But it goes into the insurance directly, like in the funds from the insurance, and they make around 2.5–3% even with the best insurances. So yeah, the interest there is just very, very low, and very important information for experts, right? When you move to another country, so if you move out of Germany and, for example, move back to your home country or spend your retirement somewhere else, right? You lose all the benefits that you got in this pension. So when you're German and have like many kids, that can make sense, right? But for experts, even for 99% of the Germans, it doesn't make any sense, right? But for experts, please be very, very careful with the Riester pension. Right? Okay. Then the second thing is the company pension. So maybe you heard that your employers offer like a company pension, right? And there it heavily depends on the conditions that you get, basically, and what your employer offers on top, right? Because like the problematic part is like the low interest, again, because you have like part of the contract is always a guarantee. So that means some of the money that you invest will not go towards funds, but into like a low yielding asset, right? Okay. So that means when your like employer just gives you like the standard 15–20% on top of your investment, that's, by the way, the exact amount that he saves in social fees. So if he gives you, I'm so generous, I give you 20% on your company pension, it's just what he saves. So he's basically not paying anything for it. Then it's generally not worthwhile doing, right? So it looks good on paper, right? Because you can deduct it from your taxes and from your social fees. So it's like, okay, you can have a low deduction from your netto income and have a rather high investment in the pension plan. But you really have to calculate it if that's really worthwhile doing, because the low interest or the lower interest makes a huge difference over time. As you explained, like in your videos, like the compounding interest effect is very important, how much interest you get, actually.
So within this private insurance, I have like 2 questions. When the employer contribution goes. So let's assume we have employer pension plan, and if someone changes the job, does it still continue? Can you continue your previous plan, or is it just, it stops there? And if the employer has another company where they're contributing the pension plan, how does it work?
Yes, so there's different scenarios. So basically, all of the employers have their own solution, right? So when you are with rather small companies, they just have an insurance that they work with most of the time, right? And then when the new employer is also rather small, right, then you can most of the time take your pension plan with you. Of course, the employer can decide what kind of bonus they give you, but either you can take your pension plan with you, or you can take like the money that you saved in there and put it in the new pension plan from the new employer.
But you can never get the cash amount back.
No,
the pension.
no. And very important, that's only when you switch like between like small companies. When you then switch to a big company, they generally have kind of their own pension insurances. And then you cannot transfer the money. You have to start this and start a new one, have new costs again. So that's like, that's also like a part when you switch employers, then you switch the pension plans and then you have new costs again. So you have to be very careful with like these company pension plans, even though they sound very good, right? But most of the time, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Another topic, when your employer gives you 100 euros and you have to contribute 100 euros to get this 100 euros, then of course it's a good thing, right? Because you get like 100% bonus immediately. So you will need to put like aside 50, 60, 70 euros to like contribute 200 to a plan. Then of course it's a different thing when like your employer gives it to you sort of as a social benefit, right? But when you just have the standard conditions, it's usually not good. Yeah.
And you also get this private employer pension plan when you retire at the age of 67. You can't get it before that, right?
Yeah, 62 currently is the earliest. Yeah, but you cannot access it before that.
Okay.
Yeah, so these pension plans generally fall into the category, okay, not the most fitted, especially not for expats. But the other two private pension plans make a lot of sense depending like on the living situation that you're in. So there's on the one side is the so-called flexible pension plan, where basically you contribute money, like you can decide what investment you want to have there. So it's can be 100% fund-based, right? And the money is compounding in the plan until you retire. And then you can basically choose to pay out a lump sum or have a lifelong monthly pension. So the benefits there, like also when you compare, for example, like investing in ETFs with a broker account, is that you have like a tax-free compounding in the plan. So while the money is in the plan, you don't pay any capital gains tax, right? And there again, if you wait until 62, you pay very little taxes on the pension, so 1 or 2%, right? And very little taxes on the payout. If you pay it out before that and you can access the money before that, you just pay the normal taxes on the gains. This is like the very flexible option. And the second option, that's like the option that like 90% of my clients have. It's very popular like amongst experts, especially when you have a high salary. Because when you have...
What do you mean by high salary? What are the like price brackets where you consider high salary?
Yeah, yes. So when you just Google Einkommensteuerrechner, right? You just click on the first link that is not an ad, and then you get to like the page from the German government. And here you can see when we type in 80,000 salary, you can see how the German tax system works. Because here you see, okay, for the first 10,000 euros that you make, you pay 0 income tax. And then the more you make, the more your tax rate rises also percentage-wise, right? Yeah. So that's why you pay so many taxes when you have a high income, right? And what do I mean by high income, to answer your question, is above 62,000, right? Because you see here at 62,000, every euro that you make above 62,000, you pay 42% taxes on it. For like clients who have like above 60,000 euros income, pay like 42% taxes on their like euros that they make above that. So basically the base pension is so interesting when you have an income where you have this marginal tax rate of like 42%, right? Or
but this is for just individuals, right? So for example, if someone is married, their family income would be calculated, right?
Exactly. When you're married, like you have to take this number by double. So like a family income of over 120 plus, right? So that's where like most of my clients are, because like they work in IT or consulting mainly. And basically when you have this high salary, then you pay a lot of taxes, but then you get very little pension on it later. And what the base pension does, let's make an example. You make 80,000 or 70,000, we can have that an example. Then you can deduct the full contribution to the base pension from your income tax. When you make 80K and pay 10K a year into a base pension, that directly reduces your taxable income by 10,000 euros. So that means like from the 10,000 that you invest, you get a 4,200 euros tax refund from the government. So that's why that's so attractive to many experts, because they say, okay, I have a high salary, I pay high taxes, let me deduct some now and get the pension later, right? Where my tax rate is much, much, much lower.
But this amount is in addition to the government pension, right?
In addition, yeah. You get that in addition to the government pension, and very importantly, anywhere in the world. So not just when you stay in Germany, even when you go back to your home country or to another country, you get this pension anywhere in the world. That's a very, very important factor, of course. But you have to keep in mind, of course, like that tax deduction is a huge advantage, right? But you have to keep in mind there's also disadvantages. So not just talking about only the advantages, there are also disadvantages. And the biggest disadvantage basically is that you cannot access this money until you're 62.
Okay.
Right? So the money
is going to be 62.
Is 62. So the money is locked in the plan no matter what you do, by the way. The government also cannot access it. So if you go like insolvent or fall into the social system, this is like protected wealth, but you cannot access this until 62. So you should only invest money there that is specifically for retirement. And it is a pension product. So it means you get a lifelong monthly pension that is stable and cannot run out. There is no lump sum payout option. So this is when you say, okay, most people say, I want a stable income in my retirement. I want two factors, basically. I want one, a stable income in my retirement where my living costs are covered. I don't have to worry. And then they want flexible savings where you can do whatever you want with, right? And for the pension part, you have the government pension and private pension plans. And for the flexible savings, you do create videos on there how to invest broadly diversified into ETFs, maybe some crypto, also of course real estate investing falls in the category. So you should always have these both components basically. Right?
So let's say if someone is investing in a private pension, so what are the ranges? What are the general ranges that your clients invest, and are the minimum amounts, and what is the average? If you feel this should fill the gap of most people.
Let's stay with the 5,000 monthly salary. And when you proceed to step 3, there you see what monthly amount you have to put aside to fill the pension gap today in 1, 3, and 5 years with different interest rates, of course. And just for your viewers that they see, okay, maybe why is a Riester pension not so good, or why is letting your money in the bank account also not so good? Because you see there, when you put the interest rate at 3%, right, you would have to put aside 1,300, 1,400 euros a month just to fill your pension gap. So it gets very, very hard when you have these low interests to fill your pension gap and have a good retirement. And even if you can put this money away with 5K brut salary, that's 3K netto, right? You certainly don't want to. So that's why it's very important to have a good interest rate there. And that's also what you teach in your videos, that for over the long term, when you have a broadly diversified stock market investment, I'm not saying, okay, only buy Tesla stock, only buy Apple stock, whatever. When you're really broadly diversified, so you can imagine in the portfolio that we advise our clients to save in, there's 10,000 companies in there. So you invest in 10,000 companies at the same time. And yes, there's volatility in the stock market and also in the world's economy, but over a long term, you always have a very good return there. So when you wait.
Thing to mention here would be that everything has its risk. It's not guaranteed. Right?
Yeah.
When you're investing in the stock market, just like anything, even in the private pension plans, there is nothing guaranteed. But generally speaking, over the long term, there is a high probability based on historical data and how the stock market is, if you are diversified enough, there is a tendency of going in the positive in the long term.
Exactly. That's very, very well put. So of course, as you say, we can only like take historic data and look like as long as in the past as we can and make assumptions based on that. Of course, nobody can look like in the future. If we could, then we would already be like the richest man on the planet, right? If we could predict the future. So yeah, you're exactly right. From historical data, you see, okay, that when you do this broadly diversified investing over 30 years plus, then like your minimum interest was 7%, right? 6 to 7% that you can show from historical data. Of course, that is no guarantee for the future. But you see here, okay, you also need this interest rate because now when you see, okay, at 6%, so let's say 7% minus 1% cost approximately, then you see, okay, you have a very, very reasonable payment like from your private pension plan to fill your pension gap, right? So when you put in 400 or 500 euros a month, then you will be good long term. And that's not like yes, of course, it is money that you have to deduct, right? That you have to calculate in your monthly expenses. But it's not like that you have to have an empty fridge just to survive in retirement, right? So it gets really reasonable when you have like a good interest and a good pension plan. And you see even with 7%, for example, it drops down to 350 euros. That would be a reasonable amount to like 350 to 400 to put aside for this income, right? So that is like the average that my clients with this income like put aside. Of course, when you have higher incomes, then you need to put aside much more. So because you asked like for the average, so like most of my clients where you say, okay, you make 100K plus, right? So 90 to 150K, let's say, then they generally try to like max out the base pension plan because you can only roughly invest 850 a month when you're like single in a base pension, right? So then they add always to the maximum with like these salaries. And when you have like 55, 60, 70, 75, okay, then you see, okay, you can just use the calculator and see, okay, what would be sufficient for me like to put aside. Yeah.
Okay. So the maximum is 850 euros per month. And the minimum is depending on the person, how much they want to invest.
Yeah. Okay. So the maximum, it's a little bit more complicated than that. You can also just Google base pension Germany. There you can see basically, so this is a blog article on our website. There you can see basically what are the limits on the deduction. And that also depends on what your income is, because you can imagine every person has like 26,000 euros that they can deduct a year minus the contributions to the government pension, right? So the more you make, the less you can contribute, which doesn't make sense in my opinion. But you see here a rough estimate. When you make 60K, you can contribute 15K a year approximately. With 70K, it's 12K. And above 85, it's the 10K a year, so 850 a month. Yeah.
Okay. We discussed that the private pension option is there. We have this ETF option. Can you summarize in just a couple of points why should one invest in private pension and not just in ETFs? Because let me make the case for ETFs.
Yeah.
I can open a broker account very easily without any issues. I can start investing with just €1 per month.
Yeah.
So why should I invest, or why should I invest in a private pension plan instead of just buying ETFs with anything I want? Because it's flexible, I can do anything with that.
Yeah. I think you should do both, right? Okay. I think you should. These are different categories, right? There's like comparing apples with lemon, because like basically in a private pension, what is your aim? Why do you do a private pension? Because first of all, you pay a lot of taxes and want a tax refund and want to save taxes while you are working, right? That's the first big point there. And you want in your pension a stable lifelong income. So you don't want to like look at the market and see, okay, how much can I take out and how is the market going, etc. You just want, okay, I have my 5,000 euros pension. I will get that until I die. Even if I get 120, I never have to worry about money, right? So I have my stable income base in retirement, right? These are like the most viable part why you should do like a private pension plan. It's also easy to set up, right? We do this in our consulting, see, okay, where do we get like the best conditions for you? What makes the most sense for you? Explain everything. And like the setup is also rather easy. So I think you should do like a private pension plan for like to fill your pension gap. And then do the ETF investing, which also, or the broker account investing for like your flexible savings, because both is important in my opinion. Right?
Okay.
So you should go for both when you have a rather high salary. Of course, when you're like a student and can put aside like 50 euros a month, then hey, just go to Trade Republic or Scale Capital, etc. You've made great videos on that. Open up your account and save your 50 euros, right? That's totally fine. Then you don't need like a private pension plan. But when you are working and have like a good high salary and pay a lot of taxes, then a private pension plan is very, very good, because basically 40% of the investment the government pays, and they give you like this tax money for 40 years to work with. So you get the compounding interest effect on your taxes, basically. Yeah,
That's a huge number. That's a huge number. Let me present you with another scenario. We have, let's say, an expat. Again, maybe they came for bachelor's, master's, or their PhD. Their plan is not staying in Germany for a long term. Maybe their plans might change, maybe but right now they are thinking, okay, I'm living in Germany for a short term, and perhaps I want to do something. So what should they do? Should they invest in a private pension plan? What options do they have?
Yeah, so it depends what you mean by long term. When you already know, okay, I'm going to stay here 2 years for my studies, then I'm going to leave, right? Then don't invest in a private pension plan, right? Just have flexible investments that you can also then take with you anytime, right? When you say, okay, I have a job now here and I don't know how long I'm going to stay here, then it is very, very important to take care also of your pension, because don't fall into the trap of thinking, okay, I don't know how long I'm going to stay here. Let me just do nothing, right? And then see, maybe on the next country, I want to stay long term. And then I there start planning for a pension. And 5 years go by, you still haven't done anything. You say, oh, Germany is rather nice. Maybe let me stay like 1 or 2 years more. Then 7 years go by. And so you see what I mean? Like when you have this mentality, you will never, as an expert, you will never really start saving for your pension. So in my opinion, as an expert, you should, in every country that you're in, use like the tax saving opportunities that you have. In Germany, do a base pension, for example, or a group renter. When you then move to the US, you have there a 401k or a Roth IRA, and there are different systems for different countries. Because like as an expert, you will have different pensions from different countries anyway. Right? That's just, you cannot work around that unless you say to the government, please don't send me any money, please don't give me my pension, right? But you will have from different sources from different countries anyway. So when you're in a country and you know, okay, I'm not only going to stay 1 or 2 years, please take care of your retirement, because when you do that strictly in every country, you will be well off when you retire. And worst case, you stay here 2 or 3 years, you invest your 10,000 in the base pension, for example, then you still got like your 40% tax refund in your pocket. You can do with that whatever you want. And then you stop the contribution when you leave Germany, and the money that you paid in keeps compounding, right? So the 30, 50,000 you paid in keep compounding until you retire, and you will get a pretty decent pension for this, and like more than people expect. Because the first 10, 15 years, as you know, like are the most important ones, because this money has a long time to compound. Right?
Another question from this section would be, does age play a factor? For example, let's compare two expats coming to Germany. Yeah. One is, let's say, again, coming back to this 27-year-old starting their first job, and they have no idea how long they'll stay in Germany. Then there's another person who's coming at the age of, let's say, 45 or let's say 50, right? Yeah. Does this age play a factor? Can this person also take benefit of private pension plan, or is it just a waste of time for them also?
So yes, age does play a huge role, because like when you start, like that's why I'm such a big advocate for starting early, because then it's not hard. When you start early, you have a lot of time for the money to compound, and you can just do like your 10-15% of the salary contribution, and you will be fine for retirement. So there is perfect. When you come like at 45, 50, it really depends. Have you already done something, right? Because if not, then it's a very bad situation, honestly, for retirement. I have that sometimes who say, okay, I make very good money, but I really haven't like done anything yet. Then I say, okay, man, you need you need to really hurry up now. So then, of course, the older you are, the higher your income is in general. So you can take advantage of this like tax saving opportunity. But when you're like 5, 6, 7 years before retirement, I wouldn't recommend you to do that. And just, okay, put away in flexible savings and save what's there to save, basically. But you can say like when you have 12, 13 years plus, then it's worth doing. If it's less, then you're better off just investing like flexible. But yeah, to summarize it, as long as you have a high income, this makes a lot of sense. And of course, when you're fine with a pension, right? When you say, hey, I want to have all my savings flexible, and if I decide in retirement and have 2 million in my broker's account, if I decide that I want to take a fun trip to Vegas and blow it all in 2 nights, I want to do that, then of course this is not the right fit for you. But when you say, okay, I want that stable income in retirement, then this will be fine. And if you want, I can show some concrete numbers. What are like expectations that you can have? Of course, please, if you want to calculate the numbers for you, as an example for you, go into the consultation with us. Asha will put a link like in the description. Then we can calculate it.
The first link in the description will be a contact form where you can contact or book an appointment with David.
Yeah, exactly. Then we will calculate what pension you can expect like for your contribution, how much you should put aside, and how much taxes do you pay. So it's very personalized, the consultation. Of course, you can like get the general information all on our website. We have like great blog articles where everything is explained basically. But like for your individual case, I will calculate that for you, and then you will see, okay, does that make sense for you or not? But just an example, this is what we calculated. Stay in this example when you're 30 years old, as like the entire video, make 60K annual salary. And this is when you put in 500 euros a month. So 6,000 euros a year. So by the way, your tax refund will be 2,500 euros approximately then. And this would your pension be when you're 67. So you see, of course, you don't know the exact pension because you don't know the exact performance of the funds, but you can do a forecast of what pension you will get with what performance. So you see, when you have like the 7% performance, it will be 3,000 euros pension approximately. And with a 9% performance, will be a 4,800 euros pension. So this is like what you can calculate with approximately for such a plan, just that you have like numbers in mind. But as I said, if that's interesting to you and you have that high salary, then I can calculate it for you individually, and then you can see if that makes sense.
What are some key takeaways or let's say points for expats that they can give or that they can navigate the German system, or specifically more the German pension system effectively?
Yeah, so I hope this video has like given you an overview of how the German pension system works, what you can also expect out of it. And the important part is that you know, okay, I have to take care of my pension myself. And you just have to figure out for you what is the smartest way to do that for me. So very important is that you just start doing something with a high interest and a long-term investment where you commit to say, okay, I will put down, for example, 10% of my salary long-term for my retirement. And then you can see, okay, do you want to do that with a base pension where I can save a lot of taxes? Do you want to do part of that with an ETF plan, etc.? But the important thing is to commit yourself, okay, and say, I start saving for retirement right where I am right now, and I go from there, because the most important thing is starting and just getting used to saving. So that I would say is the most important takeaway. Take care of your pension yourself. See what is like a smart way for you that fits you. If you want to save taxes with that and want a stable pension, then feel free to contact us. Start doing something. That should be the main message. And don't fall into the trap of think, okay, I don't know how long I'm gonna stay here. because most of the stories I hear, most of my clients that come from me say, I've been here 5 years and I thought I will leave after 2-3 years, but now I like it so much, I want to stay long term. And then always my clients say after the consultation with us, hey, David, I would love to have known this 5 years ago, because then I could have started 5 years ago, started saving, started getting tax refunds. So it's just very important to get started. That should be like the main message of this video.
So the consultation with you guys, or at least the first consultation, is always going to be free, right?
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
You get.
So I'll put a link with all of the information that you can contact David in the description below. It's going to be the first link. So make sure that you contact David if you're interested in getting a consultation and knowing more about the German pension system.
Perfect.
So, till the next video, like Wizard.